Hello, this is High Templar with my new Total War Warhammer DLC speculation video, and today we'll be talking about first expansion to the Total War Warhammer. So we know from what developers told us that the Total War Warhammer will be a trilogy, and each part we would be able to play it separately, but we will be able to connect it somehow and play to this big game. And that's actually what we heard, or that's what we think we heard when they were talking about it. And we know there will be many DLCs. I was speaking about it before, and there was a leak when the Total War Warhammer first came. It was open to mods and people were data mining it, and it was noticed that there are some DLCs, and this came true when the Beastmen came, so this is going perfectly according to this leak. However, Creative Assembly told us that this data is outdated, and it makes sense because, priorities shifts. Some things are not completed the way you want to be, like the Wood Elves. I mean, I'm sure they are working on the Wood Elves. I'm just not sure if we will get them as the next DLC. It would be very fun, but we heard about White Dwarf, so we might get Regiments of Renown for the Dwarves and Greenskins and the Wood Elves later, which is also fine. I don't mind. The multiplayer would use some boost to the Dwarves. Anyhow, the problem with the leak data is that it tells us that the first expansion would focus on the High Elf, Dark Elf, and the Lizardsmen. So that would mean this part of the map, because Ulthuan there are only High Elves living here, except for a single port in here. Doesn't really matter. Not the point here. So this is a High Elf island, Ulthuan. This is a Nagrod, where the Dark Elf lives, and this is Lustria, the home of the Lizardmen. And it would, because this is our first map, and it's quite big, it would be awesome if we could get this map, because it would also be similar size. It would have a lot of stuff to do, and because there's our island here and lots of water, we would mostly get naval battles finally. And we know there are ships already in a game because it was data mined basically, and the people, for example, from Honganet already got the ships and the stats, so you might watch them all. That's true that for the most faction, for the old faction, there is like very few ships, so it doesn't really make sense. They didn't really flesh it out, but yeah, it's understandable. They decided to not do naval battles for the first part. Anyhow, it would be absolutely awesome to have that part of the map to play with all these new factions and be able to combine it with this part of the map. However, there is a snag. So, as you can see, this area, in both this map and this map, the area between Ulthuan and the Empire is quite big. Between the Old World and the Ulthuan and the New World. This is a massive distance. And you would have to, if you would be able to combine those, you would have to be closer, basically. Right? And that makes perfect sense, because you don't want to spend 10 turns on the ship just to ship to Ulthuan, right? That makes no sense. So it would make them closer, probably even closer than on this map. This is the map that we are having in the game right now, and like I mentioned before, in Rome 2 and Attila, the northern edge of the map was touching the northern area that we can go to, and southern edge in the south from Egypt also, and the eastern and the westernmost. The loading screen was holding the map that you can actually walk on. And we are missing those spaces, and I've deducted already that these spaces we will get with the basically with the DLCs. So this part of the map, or even this part of the map, with the Tomb Kings, this one with the Chaos Dwarfs, and finally this one with the Ogre Kingdoms. And that is swell, really. However, what's here? This is a large area of the map that there is nothing supposed to be here. So what? I mean, if they would want to put Utlan like here, it would take a large part of the map and there would surely be no space for the New Earth or the Lustria, I mean the Nagorod or Lustria. Yeah, so like I said, this is again the map from the game that I showed you, and this you can see that there is a lot of space in the west. Not as much as we would want to, but a lot of space. Some in the east, yeah, but some in the west. This is another map showing that there is a large space from between those places. There is actually also Island of Albion, but it wouldn't really make sense to put it. I mean, let's go back to this loading screen map here. So put it Island of Albion here, possibly. Not really, because it's somewhat from here, from Norska, and then where? Utland here? I mean, doesn't make sense really, because we wanted to have a pretty big map for this expansion, and this is like a sliver of the map, and that's what I really don't like about this idea. That will be a minimum part of the map containing, maybe if they move Albion to the north, they will be maybe part of the Nagard, and then there will be small Utlan and Albion and maybe part of the Lustria. So that is the information that was data mined from the game. Apparently this is what was leaked. And I just wanted to show you this and draw conclusions. Firstly, there is no Albion. This small island might be an Albion. I would be very disappointed if it would, because, for example, this map doesn't contain anything like that, and this one also, but this map do contain small island like here, and there is still an Albion here. So going back to this place, this is actually available in the game. This is this island, a pretty small white island. There is nothing in there, absolutely nothing, pointless. So yeah, we might get something here, that like there is an empty space here and here. Still, let's talk about this map. So this would be Utlan, and as you can see, it would make sense to make those things close together, but that would mean this is the map that we would get with the new expansion, and that is not a new game. That is like very small. That is smaller than the original release of the Total War Warhammer. And by that time, Total War Warhammer would be already encompassing this entire space. So this will be like adding additional 25 to 30% of the map, and that doesn't strike me like a new game. Unfortunately, that map actually makes sense, because there wouldn't be anything on the map, and there is a free space on this map, right? And you could swim with a ship, I mean sail, to Utlan. It wouldn't be that long of the trip. However, that would also mean that would be a very small part of the game. I mean, this is like this is Midland, right? This is entire province of Midland. This is Reichland here, and this is Marienburg, for example, right? If I'm, yeah, this is Reichland. So Altdorf and Grunberg and this place. So the Reichland is that big. This is Marienburg North. So yeah, this is Reichland, and the entire Utland, the 12 kingdoms there, or at least I believe there is 12 of them, would be what? A single region? I mean, a single settlement? That would make sense. It would be 12 of them. That would mean roughly 3 to 4 provinces for the entire Utland, and that's very disappointing. Unfortunately, that also makes sense, because there is only single race there. Even if there will be Dark Elf invasion to Utland, and that happens on occasion. I mean, yeah, last it happened a few thousand years ago, but still, it can happen. Those guys always want to invade the Utland, so there will be very boring thing to conquer because it will be slightly like the Empire, really, because there is a large swath of map when there is only humans, and even in the Empire you would see on occasion some greenskins on, you know, stuff. So yeah, then we would have Lustria, which will be roughly the size of the Empire, and Nagrod, which will be roughly the size of the Empire. It's in here. So like I said, this map does make sense. However, this is very disappointing. Really, really disappointing, in fact. I would wanted to have this more fleshed out. I would have wanted for the Utland we will be able to explore the Shadowlands and such, and really and have some diversity in the units. Now, if we have only 3 factions, and mind you, with the release of the Warhammer we had 5 with Chaos Warriors, I would expect some variety, which we most likely won't get. And yeah, this is High Elves, the home of the Highlands that I was focusing on right now. Very unfortunate indeed. I showed you already that. So this is a map of this place, and as you can see, there is plenty of things here, like a town here and some islands, and actually quite some stuff. And there is very important islands in the middle of that. It's actually a very iconic place, and one of the most important for the entire Warhammer universe, because there is this magical contraption that holds chaos at bay right now, created by the dwarves, by the High Elves, obviously. And they are really reminding us of that every time they can. But that's beside the point. I will talk about High Elves in another video. Right now I just want you to focus on how big the Utland is. There is 12 different principalities in here, and you could really make a lot with it. But yes, well, then we have Lustria, which is the home of the Lizardmen, and there is a lot of fun things that you can see here. I mean, it will be actually decent size, so I'm not that worried. But you already see what is the motive of those places. So this is Incas and Aztec buildings, and that would be very cool to see how it is showed in the Total War Warhammer. I mean, I'm excited because the Karaks look really well, and the vampire towns, and everything when it comes to the graphics, so I'm really excited to see how it will look like. At the same time, it's not really another trilogy, because when they explained that, they compared it to Rome and Attila. Attila is an entire new game containing new campaigns and stuff. So well, maybe we'll get a mini campaign on Outland, maybe. I mean, it's a possibility, we will see. You need to remember that this is a game in development and things change. And it is quite possible we will get more. We just don't know where, when and how. But if this information is outdated, they might be changing that. Still, however, all that said and done, I am absolutely frantically excited about this, because I would love to play Lizardmen and Dark Elf. I mean, I would love to. And I would love to have huge expanded map that I can conquer some new things, and only after conquering this west part of the map go back to the east map when I have finished all the let's plays and I no longer remember how it looks like, and even then we will have some new factions in there, so that would be very cool. And also we would fight some Skaven and maybe some other forces that we don't know about yet, but it would make much sense to have Skaven in here and some other, because they were here basically. Particularly single clan, true, but not really a point. And also the Nagrod, which is a very dark, chaosy place. And yeah, I would love to see the Night Elves. I'm making these mistakes. I'm making this same mistake all over. So I would love to see those cities, which we know very little about, and there are some artist expression that I'm showing you right now, but really we don't know much about it, and Creative Assembly will have some artistic freedom to show us, right? And just to the north of the Nagrod there is Chaos Wasteland, and I will talk about that sometime later, because that's actually connected to the second expansion that is still according to the league. Of course, we might see other leagues at this point, the development might be changed totally. Still, I do feel the first expansion will go out as League explained, and unfortunately it will cover the part of the map that I showed you. It only makes sense. And this is disappointing, but still, really, people expect always more than it could be delivered. People expected a lot more from, fans, real fans of the Warhammer expected a lot more from the first game. They expected some, for example, difference in provinces, some special units for Tilea and Kislev and Estalia, because, they are different, they are not Empire, there are no Empire Knights in Kislev. But there have to be some... The game to be written in this way would be such massive and such hard to implement and so hard to play, because there is just such a massive amount of information, and you could still always mod it basically and get this Averland and Ostland additional units in the game. So yeah, I guess this is it. I hope you like it. If you did like it, press like, comment if you will, and see my other videos from the DLC speculation videos, mechanics videos for the Total War series, but also my Let's Plays for Total War series, but also different games. Thank you for watching and see you later.